Hello and welcome to the Acceleration Netcast. This is episode 9. In this episode, we're going to flag a bunch of important calendar dates. So we've got all these dates from July 1st, 2012 all the way to the day before July 1st, 2013, and we want to flag a bunch of special dates. We want to flag things like the first of the month. We want to flag things like the last of the month. Is the day a Thursday? Is it the last Thursday of the month? Is it the second Wednesday of the month? Those are the things that we'll be looking for. So I've already done a few things here to make this easier. The first thing I've done is I've done this guy right here, which this function, I hit F2 to open up the edit mode, it's going to take this serial number here and it's going to convert it into a text string as if it were doing custom number formatting. So since I've done DDD here, it'll return each day as a day of the week, a three-letter day of the week. So you've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just like that. So we'll be able to do things like, when we do this, is it a Thursday? We'll be able to look over here and verify that we've done it correctly. So here it should say true because that's a Thursday. The first two equations, the first two checks, I've already done because they're pretty easy and I don't want to spend a lot of time on them. Is the day the first of the month? Well, I've used this function up here called day, and I've said, so this serial number here, go return the day of the month, and that's what the day function does. And if that's equal to 1, it's the first of the month. So if the day, if I were to do, let's see, escape, double click. If I were to do this guy right here, I highlight, I hit F9 to evaluate it, I get the second of the month, just like there, the second of the month. And since the second is not the first, I get a false right there. The last month is a little trickier because, you know, months always start with the first, but they don't always end with the 28th or the 31st. Some months it'll be the 28th, others will be the 30th, others will be the 31st. So you can't just say day A3 equals 28. You have to be a little more clever, although not that much more. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to say, hey, whatever this date is over here, add 1 to it and check to see if that is 1. So that's basically saying if today is the first, is the second the first of the month? Well, obviously the second is the first of the month. Well, let's go down here. Hey, if we're on the 31st of July, is the next day the 1st of August? The first of a month? Yes, it is. So we return true. Okay, the next guy we're going to look for is Thursdays. So for Thursdays, we're going to use a function called weekday, tab, and weekday takes a serial number and it returns a number value. So Sunday is 1, Monday is 2, and so on and so forth. So I hit enter. Oops, I'm going to do Control-Shift-1 to render that as a number. Double click to send it down. Now this isn't the final function we want. I just want you to see what it does. So on Sunday we get a 1, Monday we get a 2, Tuesday we get a 3. Okay, so let's actually get the test. The test is if I want to know whether or not it's a Thursday, I'm going to say, hey, is this guy equal to 5? And if I double click to send that down, now all the Thursdays get a true. The last Thursday is a little trickier because we need to find a way. We've got all the Thursdays. What we want to do is we want to use an array to check only against the Thursdays in the current month. Luckily, there is a way we can do that, and I'm going to do that right now. So, let's see. Let's get started. Oh, before I do, since this is going to be a big, ugly array formula, I'm going to go ahead and name this array, or this range right here. So Alt-MMD to name it. I'm going to do column dates. That's going to be my named range of dates. So let's start. The first thing I want to do is I want to do the month of this serial number here. This is going to return which month it is, which will be 7. I want to know if that month is equal to the month of the column of dates. So what that's going to do, let's highlight it and evaluate it. I'm going to hit F9. This is going to check to see, it's going to take all of the elements here, all of these dates, and it's going to say, hey, is the month in all of these the same as the month in this guy right here? So for the first 31 days, or however many days are in July, we get trues. And any day after that, we're going to get a false. So I'm going to do Control-Z, and that's the first part. What that does is that restricts all these dates to only the dates in the current month. And the next thing we have to do is what we just did over here, and combine it with a test for the Thursdays. So now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do open parentheses weekday of like that guy right there. Does that equal 5? Close parentheses. And I'm sorry, that's incorrect. What I want right there is column dates. So now I'm going to, let's see, if I highlight this entire thing right here, I'm going to get a second giant array that's the size of the column dates, and it's only going to return trues where it's a Thursday. So false, 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 true, false, 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 true. So this is the first Thursday, this is the next Thursday, and so on and so forth in the entire list. So Control Z. Now I'm going to have to enclose these in parentheses, because the way these equalities work is Excel naturally wants to do them at the very last. So if I enclose this whole thing in parentheses, it'll do it first, and then it will multiply these two things together. So now when I multiply these two things together, I'm going to hit F9. I've got a bunch of zeros and ones, because when you multiply two Boolean variables to two true-false variables, if you multiply two trues together, you get a 1. If you multiply a true and a false, you get a 0. If you multiply a false and a false, you get a 0. So now what I've got is this is the size of all the dates, and everywhere there's a 1, that's where there's a Thursday in the month of July. So I'm going to hit Control Z. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to generate a list of all the dates that we want. So if, open parentheses, so now we've got our little test. Everywhere there is a true, and these if functions read ones as trues and zeros as falses. Everywhere there's a true, I want you to give me the column of dates. Everywhere there's a false, I want you to give me null string. Okay, so now I'm going to highlight this whole thing right here, hit F9. Now notice instead of a bunch of zeros and ones, we've got the actual serial dates, but we've only got the serial dates that are in the current month and a Thursday. So we've got the first Thursday, the second Thursday, the third, and the fourth. Okay, Control Z. So now that I've got that, I want to take the largest one of those right here, and I want to see if that is equal to that guy right there. So the largest one of these is, if I highlight this area right here and hit F9, that's going to be the last Thursday in the month. And I want to know, is the last Thursday in this month equal to the day right there? So if that's the case, I want it true. So Control Z. Since I'm passing an array through an if, I have to do Control-Shift-Enter on this guy. Control-Shift-Enter. And I'm going to double-click to send it down. Now, so there's the last Thursday of July, and the last Thursday of August, and good. So that's exactly what we want. So now for the second Wednesday, this guy is basically going to be the same formula. It's going to be just very slightly more complicated. So I'm going to just be lazy and scoop this guy up, Control-C, escape, double-click, Control-V. Oop, don't forget my equality. So this time, instead of doing a max function, I'm going to do a small function. And what small does is, rather than returning the biggest number in an array, it's going to return the ith smallest number in that array. So if I do small and my k is equal to 1, it's going to return the smallest in the array. If I do 2, it's going to return the second smallest. So if I want the second Wednesday, I want not 1 right here. That would tell me what the first Wednesday is. I want a 2 right there. That's going to check to see if it's the second Wednesday. So if I highlight all of these guys right here, if I can do this carefully, this is always the hardest part. I'm going to hit F9. That's going to be the second Wednesday of the month, and I want to see, is that equal to that guy right there? So Control-Z. And remember, I am passing an array through an if function, so I have to do Control-Shift-Enter, because this is an array formula. Okay, and I'm going to double-click. And now I've got, oh, I know what I did wrong. Double-click. Right now it's checking for the second Thursday because I've still got the weekday here set to 5. So it's looking for Thursdays. I'm going to do this to have it look for Wednesdays. Control-Shift-Enter. Now I double-click. Okay, notice that guy jumped back up there because now it's looking for the second Wednesday of the month. Now I've got all my second Wednesdays. Okay, so this is really all we wanted to do today. I do want to show you this one last thing. There's also a different formula you could use to check for whether or not a date is a Thursday. Because right now we did this guy right here, weekday equals 5. That's probably the fastest, but there's another way that's a little easier to read. So I'm going to do text. I want the text of this serial number. I'm going to convert a number based on a custom number format. I'm going to do DDD. So right now, this function right here is identical to this function right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to include an equality, and I want to say, hey, by the way, when you deliver that text string, does it equal to THU? Close parentheses. If it does, give me true. So I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to double click to send that down. And now I've got all the Thursdays just like before. This guy is a little faster. This guy is a little easier to read. Whichever one you want to choose, that's entirely up to you. It depends on whether or not someone else is going to look at your work. So I hope that was helpful, and I will see you next episode.